Yo, 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 welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. It's the show that is convinced that this good dog is Will Smith. Who yells like that other than Will? I knew watching all those Fresh Prince reruns would come in handy someday. All right, let's start with some hot takes. Congratulations to Giannis Antetokounmpo, the two-time reigning MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, just signed a max extension that will keep him in Milwaukee for the next 5 years. Ah well, I was kinda hoping he'd be in LA by next season. Looks like I'm just gonna force a trade to get him to the Lakers on 2K for Kuzma just like last year. Yeah, that works for me. The Bucks, I imagine they'll be okay with that, right? Speaking of 2K, I was hoping that they would have added Gelo Ball into the game by now, but even before I could find out, he was cut by the Pistons this week. That's some grand opening, grand closing shit, minus the opening. Dang, there goes my other 2K dream of getting all three Ball brothers on the Hornets. I hope in this new generation we get celebrity fans in future installments like LeVar and MJ in Charlotte, Jack in LA, and Clipper Darrell. Okay, well, maybe we need to rethink this for now. All right, so on the latest episode of Full Size Run, J Balvin explained when he talked to Michael Jordan about getting his Air Jordan 1 collaboration off the ground.
3 years, just to talk to them, explaining them, and then the final shot was in Paris with Michael Jordan.
Wait, so it was in Paris? I kind of want to know if it was for the Quad 54 event when MJ and a group of Jordan Brand athletes were there, because I was there too. So not that I'm claiming to be on J Balvin's level or anything like that, but if that was the time to talk to MJ about getting a sneaker collab off the ground and I missed out, man, that could have been my shot. I could be talking to Welty and Trinidad and Brendan about my shoe. Anyway, James Harden has been in the news quite a bit lately. In one meme, he's as big as Kendrick Perkins. The next meme, he's like Rick Ross post pairs. Like, can we make up our minds so we can get our jokes in, people? Because at the end of the day, I think James is gonna have a monster year putting up MVP numbers while trying to find a way to get traded to the East Coast. Like, as a fan of the 17-time champion Los Angeles Lakers, I'm setting my threat level with Harden to create a fake Woj and Shams account and say that he's demanding a trade to the Hornets to ruin their fragile chemistry. That's real. And look, I get it. You're getting tired of the Laker exceptionalism jokes and how I like to brag about my team. Well, it ain't gonna change anytime soon if you're wondering, but I will say at least when we get an Adidas superstar in our colors, it's totally justified. I mean, the Knicks are getting one too, and they haven't won a ring since the 70s. At least pair us up with our blood rivals, Boston. I'd love to see that superstar in green and black. Now, since we are fast approaching 2021, it's time for us to reveal what our sneaker resolution is for the new year. You might not realize it, but it's actually a big year for Michael Jordan. Yeah, I know 2020 was a big year for MJ with The Last Dance and his team, the Charlotte Hornets, drafting LaMelo Ball and all, but 2021 is just as big, if not a bigger year for MJ personally, because in 2021, we celebrate the 20th anniversary of his days with the Washington Wizards. That's right. Michael Jordan's first foray into the front office actually began in Washington, where he was part owner and president of basketball operations. He lasted all of one season behind the desk before he decided to suit up for the Wiz. It was weird. Yeah, I remember seeing MJ wear a Wizards jersey for the first time and thought it was some sort of joke or something. I mean, at that point in 2001, he was already 2 years removed from playing in the NBA, and all of his teammates in Chicago during that Last Dance season had actually moved on. Scottie Pippen got paid, Dennis Rodman was a Laker and a Maverick for like 5 minutes each, Phil Jackson and Steve Kerr won rings elsewhere, and Tony Kukoc was teammates with Allen Iverson. Like I said, nothing was the same. And so MJ moved on, and like I said, it was weird. But as soon as I saw MJ step on the court for the first time in New York and make a layup, it was like nothing changed. I was a kid again, watching Michael Jordan play the game of basketball. By the way, is the most dangerous basketball-related drinking game out there take a shot every time MJ says game of basketball? Just wondering. Granted, he was a step slower and the athleticism made way for a crafty old man game, but there was still enough there. The GOAT was giving that work to kids almost half his age. So he played in Washington for 2 seasons and he had some moments, man. He scored 51 points against the Hornets a month into his comeback. We got to see him play against Scottie Pippen when they played the Blazers, and we got to give him his flowers during the 2003 NBA All-Star Game. Well, we all won the 2003 NBA All-Star Game after seeing Mariah Carey in those jersey dresses, so the comeback kind of sort of worked out all in all. But it wasn't all a celebration. There was plenty of criticism, both fair and unfair, of MJ's comeback. Some said he was hogging the spotlight, stunning the growth of the Wizards' young players like Richard Hamilton and Kwame Brown, and making moves that were short-sighted in order to benefit his run at the playoffs. Even I had my own doubts about what MJ was doing, but at the same time, we were getting to see our hero walk off into the sunset on his own terms. In some small way, we would want that for ourselves. And now, 20 years later, I think most people have either forgotten the less than stellar stuff surrounding MJ's comeback or have realized that still being one of the best players in the NBA while being damn near 40 was a hell of an accomplishment. And that's why my sneaker resolution in 2021 is to make Air Jordans he wore as a Wizard as beloved as the original 14. The Air Jordan 16, 17, and 18 should be looked at with the same rose-colored glasses as the Air Jordan 3, 4, and 5, and the 11, 12, and 13. Look, late 90s and early 2000s nostalgia is blowing up at the moment. See the fervor over Pokemon cards. Even I'm digging around in my old stuff to see if I have anything worthwhile. So why can't the same happen for the kicks MJ wore in Wizards Blue? I mean, the Air Jordan 16 was crazy expensive in 2000, and every time Jordan has brought it back as a retro, but it was still one of, if not the best signature shoes in the league from that season. The 17 tried to become a cross-media star with a jazz music tie-in, luxury suitcase, and CD-ROM, and the 18 was a quiet but fitting finale for his Wizards run. Look, I understand that a big reason why Nike hasn't made a Jordan Retro Wizards jersey or why we may never see a Last Dance sequel is because MJ's split with Washington wasn't amicable, and because there is so much money and nostalgia tied to Jordan in the red and black. It seems unlikely that they would want to spoil that by bringing up his last 2 years that did not end in championships, but rather with a free throw at the end of the regular season against AI and the Sixers. But it just feels weird to honor Jordan and not bring up the fact that he had an epilogue to his career that in retrospect was not embarrassing at all. If anything, it proved that he could still go. It just wasn't at the level that most of us were used to. But where some people might think that's a weakness or crack in the mystique of Michael Jordan, I can think of it as actually benefiting his legacy. Because think about it. MJ fanatics, you know, the ones who create Instagram accounts dedicated to nothing but MJ highlights or memes with stats that make everybody not named MJ look bad, love to bring up his accomplishments during the 90s as if all he ever did was win. The thing is, he lost in the 80s to Larry Bird and the Celtics, and then to Isaiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons. He did lose in the 90s to an Orlando Magic team with Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway that always gets swept under the rug and doesn't count. Yeah, okay. I'd like to see these same fans make the same excuses for LeBron or Kobe or Steph or KD if they do the same thing. The Wizards run is a testament to his greatness. It didn't have the same glitz, nor did it end with the championship, but Jordan's time with the Wizards adds to his case for being the GOAT. It doesn't detract from it. That he had the mental toughness to endure 2 more seasons when his body was not at its peak anymore, and when critics were telling him that it was time to go home for good, was admirable. The sneakers, same story. In an era when there were Adidas Kobe's, Reebok Iversons, and Nike Shock VCs, Brand Jordan came back and showered everyone that they were still the gold standard. We don't talk about the 15s. So my hope is that in 2021, I do my part in pushing Jordan Brand to celebrate that era in Michael Jordan's career. Speak it into existence, I guess. Of course, if the plan all along was to wait until 2021 before Jordan Brand even discussed the 16, 17, and 18 in a big way, then I can just blame this whole bit on my co-writer. And just like that, we have a prepared statement from my co-writer.
Oh, hey. What you should be saying is now you have a word from the star of the show.
Oh, here we go again.
First of all, hey Slade, don't think I don't know about you talking about me. Calm all that down immediately. I know where you live. In fact, I'm sitting in your chair right now. Now, where was I? Yeah, so somebody on Twitter thought it was clever and tried to expose me with a screenshot of an alien from American Dad. Well, joke's on you, buddy, because I look nothing like Roger. I mean, who holds their phone like that? 2 hands? What are you, a baby? Come on, sir. I thought you all knew better. I hold my phone just like everybody else does. I hire someone to hold my phone and tweet for me. Come on now.
These hands are made for writing scripts. These are precious commodities. Hold my own phone. Are you serious?
I said it last week and I'll say it again.
someone is going to kick his. Let's start with the heat check, where we're bringing you everything that's dropping this week. First up, we had the Sacai Nike Vapor Waffle Villain Red. These are on the 21st for $180. Originally scheduled last week, this got pushed back to the 21st as if there wasn't plenty of heat dropping next week too. We have the Nike Air Force One Low Hardwood Classics on the 21st for $120. This is for the Brooklyn Nets. The Hardwood Classic jersey that matches these this year brings back that old school blue tie-dye jersey that the team wore in the early 90s when they were still in New Jersey. There's also a Blazer 77 mid dropping on the same day with the same theme for $110. We have the Matthew M. Williams Nike Zoom MMW4 on the 21st for $450 using the same tooling as the Nike ISPA Road Warrior, which is a $500 work of art that somehow sells for more at resale. The upper is surprisingly traditional when compared to the Road Warrior though. The release date is for European territory so far, so I'm hoping these actually come stateside soon. We have the Adidas Yeezy 700 V3 Clay Brown on the 21st for $200. Clay is a stiff, sticky, fine-grained earth, typically yellow, red, or bluish gray in color and often forming an impermeable layer in the soil. It can be molded when wet and is dried and baked to make bricks, pottery, and ceramics. Air Jordan 1 Center Court, December 21st for $135. Really? $135? Wow. Anyways, this low-cut reinterpretation of the ones is the answer to the trivia question, what was Michael Jordan wearing in the intro to The Last Dance? We have the women's Nike Dunk High Varsity Purple on the 22nd for $120. This Dunk High changes up the formula a little bit with the translucent outsole, so I'll be curious if that affects the perception of how these and purists will scoff at the change. We have the Air Jordan 12 Varsity Red on the 26th for $190. Also known as the Reverse Flu Games, even though the materials aren't the same. This color flip of the legendary pair MJ wore in the 1997 NBA Finals probably won't achieve the same legendary status, but you figure Nike had to try this at some point, so might as well get it out of the way. We have the Nike Auto Adapt Max Jetstream on the 26th for $400. This nice and clean colorway of the Auto Max should resonate as one of its better releases, but with the hype fading for Adapt and people probably itching to get the Adapt Air Jordan 11, you might be able to buy these for less than retail sooner than you think. And then of course the pick of the week is the Nike Kobe 6 Grinch. These are on the 24th for $180. Kobe's most iconic Christmas Day shoe will also kick off the Kobe 6 Pro Show releases with a handful of early access drops prior to the 24th. Here's hoping Nike did the right thing and made tons of these. I hope so. Fingers crossed. Oh yeah, and so now for a heat check on 2020. Yeah, this year sucked. The sooner we forget about it, the better. I can't even give it a totally obtuse rating that only makes sense to me. It was so bad. Let's just get to the hard pass. It's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go, like buying into the hype before trying it yourself. So the biggest topic of conversation in the video game world has been the rollout of Cyberpunk 2077. Now, before we recorded this, it was announced that the game was being delisted from the PlayStation Store and that refunds were being issued. But yeah, it makes sense because it was a disaster that also seemed avoidable if people were just realistic. For the past several years now, Cyberpunk 2077 has been the most anticipated game by fans and the games press alike, and for good reason. CD Projekt Red's last title, The Witcher 3, was one of the most acclaimed games of this decade. Now, take the developer's experience with open world gameplay and place that in a futuristic cyberpunk world, and you've got a Blade Runner fever dream. One of my weirdest and most memorable moments as a video game media person was when I went to E3 at Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles last year, and Keanu Reeves came out to announce the game's release date and to reveal that he is also in the game as Johnny Silverhand. First of all, great name, but getting an A-lister like Reeves to be the face of the game was marketing gold. Everything was lining up for 2077 to become the perfect way to book in the Xbox One and PS4 console generation. It was going to be a visual treat regardless of whether you had a base console from 2013 or the brand new Xbox Series X that came out last month. The character creator was going to be progressive when it came to representation, and the promise of a 100+ hour experience meant that this was going to be a forever game for fans of the cyberpunk genre. But then the reviews started coming in. It was a competent game with an engrossing storyline, but it was plagued with bugs that could hinder and in some cases crash your experience. And if you owned a base PS4 or Xbox One, it was bad. Like real bad. Like comically bad that you had to see it for yourself because it was so unbelievable. But that's par for the course with giant open world games like this. A little bit of jank was to be expected, but it wasn't just a little bit of jank. It was a mess to say the least, and that left fans in disbelief. How could a game that promised so much come in so hot with so many issues? There's no way CD Projekt Red would ship a game in that shape, so it must be the fault of the reviewers, many surmised. They flamed the message boards, gimmed up conspiracy theories, attacked the characters of the people whose job it was to relay their experience to the consumer so they can make an informed decision on whether or not to buy the game. How dare they score what I've been waiting years for? So low, many thought. The toxicity was palpable, and honestly, it made me wonder if I should even post impressions about the game. But as quick as the fans were to buy into the hype all those years ago, they were just as quick to turn their backs on Cyberpunk. My co-writer said that this was the fastest he had ever seen a fan base turn on a developer after defending them and hyping them for so long. The reviewers got their vindication, and now CD Projekt Red is left to deal with the aftermath, issuing refunds where they can. So what does this mean for this week's Hard Pass? Are fans no longer allowed to get excited or hyped for a game? Nah, it's okay to be pumped for something to come down the pipeline. I mean, we have an entire segment of this show called Heat Check dedicated to exactly that. But what I would ask is for people to channel their expectations, because you don't know what you have in your hands until you actually have it. Like, we can talk about how the Air Jordan 11 Jubilee was not as hyped as previous holiday 11s because it wasn't a brand new color scheme, or that the Jordan eyelets were going to be a problem. It's not because we have it out for Jordan Brand and that we want them to fail. We just wanted to put our thoughts out there for discussion, not for points to attack us on. But the 11s still sold out, and those who have them already seem to be okay with it. We are all out here just expressing an opinion. There's no need to bash those who had concerns before the release, because I can speak from my own experience. They are professionals who get paid to do this job. It's actually a job, and their obligation is not to the developer and the publisher. Their obligation is to you, the consumer. And if they review a game dishonestly, it ruins them. And that's worth way more than alleged bribery or favors that go on. So this grand conspiracy is simply not true. What reviewers can do in the future, if they aren't doing it already, is disclosing the console or PC setup they use to play their games in. That eliminates so much of the discourse and lets consumers see if their rigs are comparable or if they need to seek out other reviews. So let the lesson be to just dial it back when something hype your way comes. You don't gain anything besides being a weird fanboy, and what's the point in that? Let me know in the comments below what you think about the Cyberpunk 2077 saga and whether they can rebound and make the game they promised all those years ago, with Keanu still being awesome. All right, look, that's gonna do it for the show. I wanna thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, but not before I say thank you. Thank you for watching, thank you for staying tuned to this channel, and thank you for tolerating my co-writer. But in all seriousness, I saw a handful of clips this week of former President Barack Obama doing interviews with everybody from his former staffers at Crooked Media, to Deezus and Miro, to my guy Marquez Brownlee. I have to admit, I was quite inspired, and now I want to make it a goal of mine in 2021. Let's make it happen, people. Virtual sneaker unboxing with Obama, in person if it's later in the year and we all get the vaccine. All right, gotta speak it into existence. I need that energy, people. Y'all have a happy new year, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.